So soon after my mother's memorial lecture, in celebration of her life and legacy, I decided to visit one of the sites that happened to be at the core and center of her research with regards to the Igbo prehistoric origins of humanity and world civilization. And that site happens to be the Lejja prehistoric site. Some of you who have read the book Eden in Suma on the Niger would be very familiar with this site, even though you have not been here. And yes, for me, this is my first time. But when you see this site and its landmarks, I believe that you'll be able to recognize the landmarks from the images illustrated in the book. So here we are. Now, as you can see, this prehistoric site comprises of huge lumps of iron slag, carbon dated 2000 BC by University of Oxford in partnership with University of Nigeria Nsukka. So far, it is said to be the oldest iron smelting site in the world. There's no older date. Now, this Lejja shrine, also called Dunu Oka Village Shrine in Lejja, has been variously called the Temple of the Sun, the Stairway to Heaven, the Heliopolis, the Duat, or the Egyptian Duat, meaning Egyptian heaven, or underground abode, or labyrinth of the gods. It was the global center for religious pilgrimage in prehistoric times, meaning that Lejja in Igbo land, apart from being the world's oldest and largest iron industry, was also the Rome and Mecca of antiquity. Now, for those of you who have read the Eden in Suma on the Niger, my mother's last book, you will recall that there are landmarks and features associated with this site. I am going to isolate them. I just wanted you to have a broad overview of this site, and then as we progress, I am going to pick out these features individually and give you a description of what they are. You will notice that many of these landmarks have been described in ancient texts, and from what we gather in the Eden Isum on the Niger, all those landmarks that existed within this site that is said to be lost in antiquity are all existing here today. Right now, I am looking at the conical structure, which the Egyptians refer to as the Ben. The Ben was associated with fertility and procreation. I have also seen a few other landmarks such as a house of fire, two magical trees, a fortified circle, a chain of hills. I have seen the mother goddess, Nun, wrapping her arms over her son, Osiris, represented by a crescent moon enveloping the sun. So right here you have the two magical trees. This is one of them with huge iron slag scattered in front of the tree. These are the two magical trees. That's the next one, yeah. And these two trees, one of them is associated with healing, and the next one is associated with justice. Now, these two trees are two shrines called Utu Deligwe and Oyogu. Utu Deligwe is the tree of life where villagers swear their innocence and culprits are punished or executed. Oops. The other one is the tree of life and healing, as I said earlier, which neutralizes every charm and poison that is brought near it. Okay? Oyogo is associated with the moon and the sun cycles and is a calendrical instrument for counting of the days of the months and the month of the year. So it coincides with the Egyptian night of computing years and of telling the months. Amazing. So this right here is the house of fire. It is a narrow conical house with a conical roof, one door and no window, frequently seen in most of the images of the Duat. It is a shrine house for the iron smelters of Lejja who have joined the ancestors, which is why the village masquerades issue forth from there into the arena during the annual ceremonies of the dead. These masquerades are said to be the spirits of the ancestors. So this particular tree with very thick, heavy, fibrous roots extending far beyond the tree caught my eye. It's huge. It's really huge. And you can see its branches weaving across itself. It's really something. Yeah. So I was just fascinated by the presence of that tree and I felt I should just capture it. So for this particular tree, when my mother arrived Lejja, I was told by the people who came with me that this tree caught her attention and she was moved to offer this tree kola nut, as in to establish her presence and pay homage to this tree. So the people said that in the days of yore, the prehistoric times, masquerades would come out of that tree. Wow. So we have finally saved the best for the last. This is the Lejja shrine, which the people call Oshuru, from which Ashura, meaning sacred grove, a title of Egypt's black sun god Osiris, seems to have been derived. Osiris is also a reference to Ra, the Egyptian sun god. Ra is a derivative of Ora, which means the sun in Igbo Afa parlance. Now in the center you have the sun disk, also referred to as the dot in the center. It is flanked by the crescent moon, representing the mother goddess, enveloping and protecting her son. The sun disk is Oshuru or Osiris, as the Egyptians would call it. This symbol of the sun disk or Osiris being enveloped by the mother goddess, the crescent moon, you can see this symbol worn by goddesses such as Isis and Hathor. Now, what other proof do we need that the Duat of the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, their underground heaven, the underground labyrinth of the gods still exists? It is not lost in antiquity, as some scholars and historians have alluded to. It is not in the Middle East. It is not in Asia. It exists right here in Africa, and not just Africa, in Dunu Oka Lejja, Nsukka of Enugu State. And this discovery was made by Professor Catherine Acholonu. It is easy to discountenance or dismiss discoveries made by Africans. But all the features described in ancient texts of the location of the Duat all exist right there at Lejja. The two magical trees, a conical structure, a fortified circle, a disc, enveloped by a crescent moon. They're all there. This is not an illusion. This exists and exists here in Enugu State.